In this video, I'm going to talk about the process you're going to use to complete unit conversions in your homework. So I'm going to use a car example since we're going to use a lot of moving objects. And this car, I'm going to say, is moving at a velocity of 60 miles per hour. And you'll typically see that because that's what we use in everyday life, but I'm going to write it as 60 miles per hour. So I'm going to separate them out in the numerator and denominator. And what the goal of this problem is to solve for the velocity or convert it to meters per second, the metric system. So we're going to go from miles to hours to meters per second. So for the first part of this equation, we're going to write down some equivalencies or some conversions. So 1 mile is equal to 1,609 meters. Now this will be listed in your homework in WebAssign, or you can Google use conversions, but this is a pretty typical one. And I do that because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that miles and meters are what I'm converting. Another thing I see are hours and seconds. So I know that 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. Okay. So for my variables, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say what I'm starting with 60 miles per hour. This is not your typical list of variables in your quantitative, but and for the unit conversion we'll do this. And I want to convert this to so many meters per second. What this does is it lays out exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get miles per hour to meters per second. And we're going to find this number right there. Okay, so let's solve for it. Let's do it. So I say 60 miles per hour. And the thing with unit conversions that can confuse you or just complicate things is not knowing what to put on top and bottom. So when you convert. So let's see how we do this. I'm going to give myself some space here. And I put two sets of parentheses because I'm going to have to convert the miles into meters. That's one conversion. And then hours to seconds. So that'd be a second type thing here. So here's the most, it's not a tricky thing. It's just a way to keep things straight when you convert, because dividing or multiplying is what gets confusing. I want to convert miles to meters. So I have a conversion here. There's an equivalency. So the question is, do I divide or multiply by 1609? Well, I can see here I want to put the miles on the bottom. So 1 mile is 1609 meters. And it's very simple because I can look at this and see the miles will cancel. If I put it on the bottom, miles will cancel, so therefore the 1609 goes on top. This is equal to that. This is an equivalency. Likewise, I can see hours is on the bottom, so I want to get rid of it, so I'll put hours on top, because hours will cancel mathematically or algebraically. And that gives me 3,600 seconds. So if you take a look at what I'm left with a meter per second. I'm left with the units I'm looking for right here. Okay. So basically it's 60 times 1609 divided by 3,600. So you just multiply and divide through by the numbers, and I get an answer here of 26.81 meters per second. And then you box your answer. So those are steps you're going to use to follow to complete unit conversions. And the bottom line is that when you write it out like this, you can see what cancels, what's on top and bottom, because it's very common mistake or easy mistake to, in this case, maybe divide by 1609 as opposed to multiply, or vice versa here with the 3,600. But if you line everything up and you look at the units, what cancels, miles and miles, hours and hours, everything falls into place, so you get the correct unit conversion. So those are the steps you're going to follow for unit conversion type problems. Give and find, and the 3 steps to the solution.